Hi guys, welcome to the next edition of Sales Training Weekly. That's not really our name, it just seemed fun to me today. We are going to continue a little bit of discussion of storytelling. I can't emphasize enough that you've still got to adapt it to you. You have to adapt it to your style. One guy that tells a great story one way, yours might be different. Watch comedians, for example. Jerry Clower, one of the greatest ever. But not everybody can tell that good old woo country boy kind of storytelling. But there's still something you can learn from him. For today, though, I want to kind of try to go over, and we're gonna cover a little without going too long, I hope. It's the holiday season. My wife has a favorite movie that we have to watch every holiday season. We just watched it, and it's a beautiful movie. It's called Love Actually. And yes, those of you that are judging me for the smut in it, I know, I understand. I shouldn't like it, we shouldn't, but the weird thing is it works. You honestly wish it was edited out so you could watch the film with your kids because it has a pretty nice message. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. The thing that fascinates me about that movie every year that I have to watch it, number one, is that I can still tolerate seeing it every year after 10 years. Because there's fantastic movies that I thought I'd never grow old of that, oh my gosh, I can't watch It's a Wonderful Life anymore. And yet it's one of the greatest movies of all time. I get that and I respect it, but I can't. So here's the deal. Love Actually, and all its uniqueness, is it is an incredible number of stories. There's even inner stories within the major multiple number of stories. It's a 2-hour movie. People try to do it all the time. They try to do these conglomerate stories. They want to have these ensemble movies where it's, oh, they're all interacting. You don't even see how they interacted. Oh my gosh, until the end. Wasn't that incredible? And they want to tell all of them as they go through. One that came out a year or so ago that occurs on mine, I think it was called He's Not That Into You. Or maybe it was the one based on the Baby book. Whatever, they try to do it. They rarely work. For some reason, they always get these incredible casts, always these huge ensemble casts. And I assume it's one of those that just kind of parlays, oh, he's in it, oh, she's in it, I want to be in it. It's also probably a lot of, you're really going to get paid really great pay and you're only going to work 4 days because your scenes are shot like that. I don't know what it is, but they tend to. Quite often, they get killed by too much cast. Quite often, they get killed by just not being that well done. Usually, they get killed by storytelling. Watch Love Actually sometime, and forgive me for the few dirty parts. Watch it sometime, and I want you to pause at the second time you've seen the movie and realize how beautifully they tell the story. You never get bored. It never grows old. And there's not a single story that you're like, oh, they left that out. Oh, they need to give me that. There's some where they convey such amazing emotion and tell such incredible story in just a little bitty bit. The scene, and if you haven't seen it, I apologize for the spoiler. Those of you that have, though, where the woman is dealing with the potential of her husband cheating. And in a matter of less than a minute, they go from the girl he might be cheating with being in her lingerie and looking fabulous, and sitting down and looking in the mirror and seeing a picture of herself looking beautiful and her little piece of jewelry he's bought her and smiling. And then the wife, and you flash, you don't realize you've even left. It's such a brilliant transition because you go from the picture to a picture and then pictures, but all of a sudden it's pictures of a young boy and of a young girl. And then you realize you're looking at photos of the wife and her family and her husband and her kids. And you see her standing, and then they back off, and it's the dresser where those are, and she's standing there holding the emotion in, but you just see the angst in the body. And all the photos there, and she looks frumpy. But she looks good for an average person. She's just wearing what you would wear. A wool skirt, a sweater. She hadn't had time to work out and take care of her body. She's been busy loving and enjoying life and raising the kids and all this. But you see that contrast. You see this is what was done here, this is what's done here, but they told it and tied in, but look at what it's with. If you judge me based on the penny I am today, but all that goes with all the depth, all the history, all the story, the life built, the life continued. It's just powerful. And it's telling 20 different stories. I mean, maybe I'm even short. Maybe there's 100 different stories in there. There's a billion different stories. Everybody sees it's going to pull a different one out. No dialogue at all. And it's done in less than a minute. Take with that and use it as you will. The point I'm going to is this, and I've overplayed it, and I know I have, and I apologize if I bored you at all. The reason that movie works is in spite of their small time frames, in spite of the snippets they have to do, in spite of how limited they are for time to get it all in, it's paced beautifully. There is never a single scene that rushes the pauses. There's never a single scene that has to hit you with the point. They don't bang it out of the park ever. Everything is paced, and paced brilliantly. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is set forth. Nobody wants to make absolutely sure they get the knockout blow. We don't have to have the massive comedy moment. It is paced so well. The fact that we got to get off this story because we're out of time to get to the next one, it's never cut. It's never left. They let it flow, and they let it flow more with the nonverbal than the verbal. And I think one of the reasons they struggle is most of these types of movies are so consumed with getting all their dialogue in and all the different actors that have got to have their lines, like NBA players with how many minutes do I get. They forget one of the most important parts of storytelling is nonverbal. How do you tell your story? How does it get across? Don't tell a raunchy story in a stiff suit and tie. Don't come in your flip-flops and your shorts and your filthy shirt and try to tell some cool executive story. It may work, but you better have freakish credibility backing it up. Don't try to tell a story that doesn't fit the nonverbal, and don't try to rush it. Don't have your story fly to the end. Don't know where it's going to end without giving the pacing. Don't give me the moment without letting me build the emotion that's required to get there. A great thriller movie, a great horror movie does not just start with they turn on the lights and the popcorn ad's over and all of a sudden you got to build it up. I got to see you walk in the house. I got to feel it coming. I got to see the tension in your body. What's going on? Oh my gosh, I got to see all that. Then when somebody jumps out, it scares you to death. Those kind of shocks have to go. Let them build. Let your story go. Study your pacing. If you're not good at storytelling, one of the very first things to fix is how do you pace. Pace yourself well. Understand the pacing. Beware of doing, like I sometimes been guilty of in these, of pacing too slow. Don't bore people either. But don't be afraid to let it flow. Because, and this is an important part I said earlier, if you caught it, when I was talking about the nonverbal and the stories and what people were picking up from that movie, and I said, it's different for every person. Your story, regardless of how complete, how perfect, how solo, how exact, is different for every person that hears it. Joy is in the ears that hear. They will hear relative to their background. Pace it to allow that background to integrate in their concepts and ideas. Let them romanticize your story, good, bad, irrelevant. It becomes their own as they interpret it, and that's why there's a billion stories, quite often above and beyond the one you intended to tell. So much more to cover. I will try to do some more on our next one. We'll have a couple week break. As I said, it's the holidays. Hope y'all are doing well. Thanks for watching.